This program is specifically designed to be viewed by adults and may be unsuitable for children under the age 17. Viewer discretion advised.
The materials provided in this presentation and any comments or information provided by the presenter are for educational purposes only, and nothing conveyed or provided should be considered legal, accounting, or tax advice. Please contact your own attorney, accountant, or tax professional with any specific questions you have related to the information provided that are legal, accounting, or tax nature. All copyrights and trademarks of images belong to their respective intellectual property owners and are used under fair use for educational purposes.
Community 2612 Growth Plan, presented by Nathaniel Omar.
Welcome, friends, family members, and guests. My name is Nathaniel Omar, and I'm your presenter today. Today's presentation will run anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes, and we will be discussing Community 2612 Growth Plan. The plan that we will discuss is designed to set up an economic floor for marginalized groups of people in America. Those marginalized groups that we'll discuss are African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, and Natives. Collectively, these four groups total 118 million people and rank 12th in world population. As well, they have $3.9 trillion in purchasing power, which makes them the fifth largest economy in the world behind the United States, China, Japan, and Germany. The African American is particularly important in this conversation because their purchasing power is $1.3 trillion. This is seriously concerning and promising at the same time. The concern is that the circle of power of the African American dollar is weakened when the group has $1.3 trillion of demand with few suppliers. As a result, other ethnic groups enter the African American marketplace and they supply goods and services for consumption, and they take those dollars and recirculate them in their own communities. This is economically devastating, especially considering the group has $1.3 trillion in purchasing power. The purchasing power is promising. Community 2612 has uncovered a 3,000-year-old strategy for community growth and economic development to help aid and assist our four marginalized groups. Let's talk about it. Today's agenda details how we plan to grow and develop economic powerhouses so that we can reduce the amount of stress on the minds of individuals, families, and communities. This presentation will cover catching fish, community growth opportunities, the power of unity, the 1x2 growth model, the 7x8 expansion model, and we will end with some closing remarks. Listen, to grow a community from the ground up is difficult. But for one, 2,000 years ago, it was particularly easy. 2,000 years ago, Jesus developed 14 people and turned them into fishers of men using a wide net versus a line. The net covered the forgotten with love, while the establishment focused on laws and drawing lines that ostracized those who crossed them. Nevertheless, Jesus' growth strategy worked, and it led him to feed 5,000 in the desert and 4,000 in the mountain using bread and fish. Here's where it all took place. It took place in this area here on the map, all in here. He didn't go outside of this area here. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that worked out. Let's talk a little bit about community growth. Community growth starts with a leader and its followers. Change always starts with one. Jesus entered the stage on a 1,400-year-old system, and he turned it on his head, and he had to create all new followers using a 1x2 growth model. He would ask them to come and follow him. It was an invitation and a conversation. Those invitations and conversations have led to 2.9 billion conversions as of today. That's incredible. There is power in unity. Jesus of Nazareth once said, let me read this to you. If two of you shall agree on earth about anything at all for which they ask, it shall be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where two or three gathered together for my sake, there I am in the midst of them. He's giving you the secret in the book of St. Matthew, chapter 18, 19 through 20. Jesus started his journey in Galilee. His mama named him Emmanuel, so we're going to use Emmanuel in these illustrations going forward. In Galilee, he found two brothers, James and John, one and then two. Let's move forward. When he arrived in Bethsaida, he found two more, Andrew and Simon. Simon became Peter. As we can see, the 1x2 model growth strategy is actually working. It started with one and now we have four. We have Simon and Andrew who were brothers and James and John who were brothers. Now the community has grown from 1 to 5. Before leaving Bethsaida, Emmanuel found two friends, Nathanael and Philip. Before leaving, they too joined his community. As you can see, the 1x2 model is actually working and the community is growing. It has grown from 1 to now 7. We have Simon and Andrew, Philip and Nathanael, James and John. Let's see how it continues. When Emmanuel travels up the Sea of Galilee, he reaches Capernaum, and he adds two more to his community, Levi, who becomes Matthew, and James. As you can see, the community is growing. We have now went from 1 to actually 9. We have Nathanael and Philip, Andrew and James, Levi, Simon Peter, James and John. As we can see, the 1x2 model is actually working pretty well in multiple locations and regions in the northern part of Israel. Emmanuel picks up four more. Thomas, who is considered Doubting Thomas, who was a twin, Thaddeus, who's known as Jude, and two other names, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot. As we can see, an invitation and a conversation using a 1x2 model has went from 1 to 13. 1 being Emmanuel in the center, and then 12 disciples. Let's continue. As we can see, Emmanuel did an incredible job at growing his community. Emmanuel started out with himself, then he picked up John, James, Simon Peter, Andrew, Nathanael, and Philip. He continued on and picked up more, Levi, James, Judas, Thomas, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, Mary Magdalene, Paul. It started with 1 and he added 14 more and made it 15. Excellent work. Upon further research, I realized this was a 7x8 giving model established by King Solomon 3,000 years ago. The text can be found in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, 1 through 2, and it states, "Cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days. Give a portion to 7, and also to 8, for thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth." This is definitely a giving model that protects you from future evils. As you can see in the illustration, this is a 7x8 giving model established 3,000 years ago by King Solomon, and the classic text provides the evidence to it. In further workshops, we will develop more tutorials in this so that you can better understand the giving model. We follow an ancient community principle. By following Jesus, we saw that he used bread and fish to be able to satisfy his people that were hungry. In this community, all you need to do is bring some bread and 2 fishes. When you join our community, you can join as a small or large donor. It's really up to you. Here are some places where you can find your initial donation. You can find it in checking, savings, or money market accounts. You can find it in whole life insurance policies. You can find it in fixed index annuities. You can find it in your credit cards. You can find it in CDs and government bonds. You can find it in your retirement accounts. You can find it in stock equity gains, dividend payments. Some even go as far as borrowing it from a friend or pawning something. These are just some examples or recommendations that you can utilize for your initial donation. Once the donation is made and 2 fishes are brought to the table, you have an opportunity to break some bread. Participation in our community economic organization leads to gifts. These group donations lead to excess gifts. Here's a line chart illustrating excess gifts. Each member will become a community leader, and they will receive 8 times the amount of the original donation. Initial donations range from $25 to $500, with individual distributions ranging from $200 to $4,000 that are distributed every 28 days or 4 cycles, whichever one comes first. Our gifting platform is open to large donors as well. Their initial donations range from $600 to $2,000, with distributions of $4,800 to $16,000 that are distributed every 28 days or 4 cycles, whichever one comes first. Here's another illustration just to hammer the point home. So total gifts minus the donation equals an excess gift. So let's say, for instance, you donated $200. Your total gifts will equal $1,600, which is 8 times the original amount, and your excess gift is $1,400. As mentioned earlier, distributions occur every 28 days or on the 4th cycle, whichever one comes first. With the Community Economic Organization, 1, you receive gifts to help reduce your expenses and increase your capacity to generate wealth, and then you repeat the participation process again. When you decide to move forward with gifting, there are some legal and tax rules that you need to know. The IRS allows you to exclude $15,000 in donations from your income each and every year without a tax liability, and the donor normally picks up the tab. From a business legal standpoint, pyramids are illegal. We do not practice pyramid schemes or scams. We exchange a service in lieu of a donation that is tax deductible. We do not require anyone to recruit others. We encourage our members to share and connect. Members can receive a refund for services after 60 days. Thank you for taking this educational journey with me today. Until next time, this is Nathaniel Omar, signing off.
For attending this short informational meeting. We would be honored if you joined our community today. To join a community, we need to get you registered. Please text 520-352-9977. Again, please text 520-352-9977. Include in the text your first and last name and the name of the person who referred you. And please spread the message to your family and friends. And I leave you by saying, thank you and have a wonderful day from Community 2612.